Hello and welcome. Silrace here with Star Citizen. And I'm going to talk about options in the options menu now with 3.0 update, because there is new things here available to us. After all, options is one of the reasons to play games on a PC, because you can tweak things, you have choices, and choices are good. So let's have a look at the tabs and other things. Also, one thing I want to point out right away. If you are like me and you absolutely have to rebind keys like I do, 3.0 got rid of my keybinds and it is not here for me from, you know, in the saved control profile either. Whether that is just me or not, I don't know. I didn't actually go out there and ask everybody if they lost theirs. However, note that if this happens to you as well, you may have to redo keybinds and I will need to. Anyway, game settings. So right now we are getting things like, finally getting these things like contextual dialogue subtitles, cockpit audio subtitles, and most of all, fantastically, we are starting to have all the toggles, because these things are fantastic and frankly necessary. For example, a sprint toggle is something I have always and forever wanted in my shooters. There are some shooter games I have simply not played because it did not have a sprint toggle, because that makes life so much easier to me and so much more enjoyable. The same thing is with aiming down sights as a toggle instead of having to hold the key down. That is so good, and these kind of toggles shows to me that folks who are making the game actually understand that this is a PC platform. Players like their options because they are used to different things. Not everybody wants sprint on a toggle or aim down sights on a toggle, but having the option is where it is at. Right. And most of all, well, not most of all, but other new things kind of, is that we are going to have more things to, you know, do, like G-Safe defaults to on. You can turn this off. You can turn on other things, like coupled mode defaults to on, so you can, basically you turn this off and you always start in decoupled mode. Sounds fun, right? Gimbal weapon lock, you can just turn this on as well to always have your gimbal weapons locked. What is missing here, however, is some kind of an explanation system. Whether there is a like a drop-down box which actually explains what these options do, instead of or mouse over it and give a context menu of some sort. You know, any kind of an info box which helps, you know, explain things like what is G-Safe, what is ComStab, and all of these things. That is obviously down the line, but it really needs to happen, especially before the game, when the game goes live. That's at the latest. Graphical wise, we finally have things like full screen windowed mode, which is just brilliant, fantastic. It's here, and also out of here again. Not everybody knows what chromatic aberration is, or explanation for sharpening, like what kind of sharpening exactly. So please put in things to explain that. And also field of view, I would personally prefer if this went all the way up to 120. That is a personal preference, because I play, depending on the game, I usually play between 90 and 120. Somewhere around there, once I find the good setting for myself. Quality low right now to try and combat various things, such as, well, the game not running all that well. I need to play around with more settings to figure out if that is the thing. And motion blur is fantastic. The fact that I can turn it off entirely, because I don't find motion blur to be fun. I just find it to be boring and actually annoying. On the audio side of things, a few new things. For example, there is race mode commentary, which is really amusing. I need to make a video on that specifically. It is kind of amusing. It is. I don't know yet if it's well done or not, because I just couldn't finish the race without, you know, changing all my keybinds to actually be able to fly properly. But it was kind of amusing. And also the fact that you can ship computer, you can turn it entirely off. Oh yes. Not that I might not want to, however, I have the option to, and that is perfect. That is perfect. On the control side of things, we finally have, well, not finally, a lot of this stuff was here already, but you can invert individual settings, which is just brilliant. Thanks. That is so good. Oh yes, please. What is, however, one thing I noticed right away is missing from here, because most sensitivity curves are important, and they have separate ones for pretty much everything as well, including the fact that you can turn mouse acceleration and smoothing off, which you should if you are playing on PC. And you are playing on PC if you're playing Star Citizen, unless you somehow manage to get this on a console. That would be awesome to know how you did that, especially in the alpha. Anyway. One thing I instantly noticed when I scrolled this setting way back when, and even right now, is that there is no separate mouse sensitivity for aimed down sight shooting. And I think that needs to be fixed. Please do that. Give us a separate slider for mouse sensitivity for when you are aiming down sights and when you are not. You know, when you are hip firing. When you are just running around in the shooter mode. I think that needs to be here. On the other things, it is fantastic to have separate inversion, because some people would really like to, you know, go inversion on flight, but not obviously on foot. Personally, I don't like inversion on flight or on foot, but there are people who absolutely want their, you know, push forward to go down thing. And on the keybind side, I already mentioned the, you know, I somehow do not have my control profile anymore, which means I need to redo all of my keys, because this I cannot deal with, mostly because, well, it is painful for me, actually like physically painful after a little while. So overall, I am really happy with what they did with these changes, like with the amount of options we now have. I am all happy with this. Please do more of it. And give us more things, and most of all, give you know, context menus for all of these, information boxes, help out new players, make sure that is in before the game releases, including on the graphic options. And well, there needs to be way more graphical options than what we have right now, obviously for release, because options, so we can tailor the settings to match the kind of computer gaming system we have. But yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you folks another time with more Star Citizen.